The world is shifting in ways most cannot see, and a silent emergency is approaching. Chosen ones, this is not coincidence. Tragedies that seem sudden are often spiritual tests designed to reveal the strength of your mind and the depth of your awareness. I am Shi Heng Yi, and today we will uncover how to face these unseen storms with calm, clarity, and mastery. Few understand that real preparedness isn't about stockpiling or controlling events. It begins within. The greatest warriors of Shaolin didn't fear chaos because they had trained their minds to remain steady, even when everything around them collapsed. They learned to move with life, not against it, and to see opportunity in crisis. In this video, you will discover ancient practices of presence that sharpen your perception, techniques to master emotions so fear no longer controls your actions, and subtle rituals of self-discipline that build resilience almost invisibly. We will explore teachings that were often hidden from outsiders, secrets that allowed monks to remain calm during famine, war, and natural disasters. These lessons, though centuries old, hold startling relevance today. By the end, you will understand why tragedies often reveal hidden strengths, and how the mind trained like a temple can withstand the heaviest storms. You will learn to harness the quiet power within, so that when the world trembles, you remain unmoved, grounded in purpose. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, a sanctuary for those ready to awaken, to rise above the ordinary, and to claim mastery over themselves before facing the chaos outside. Subscribe now and step fully into the path of inner power, clarity, and resilience. This journey is not for the faint-hearted, but for those chosen to rise. It will change everything. Time slips through our fingers like water, yet most of us live trapped between what has been and what might come. Chosen ones, this is where chaos finds its foothold, inside the restless mind, tangled in memories or pulled by fears that do not yet exist. Today, we explore the principle that has guided Shaolin masters for centuries. Presence. The monks understood that danger is not always in the external world. Often it is born in the mind, in the swirl of regrets about yesterday or anxieties about tomorrow. When the mind chases shadows of the past or races toward imagined disasters, panic arises, clouding judgment and weakening resolve. Awareness of the present moment acts as a shield, a silent force that cuts through mental turbulence and restores clarity. In the Shaolin tradition, presence is cultivated through disciplined breath, deliberate movement, and attentive observation. Each step, each gesture becomes a meditation. Even in the heart of chaos, the monk remains anchored, sensing what is real, responding to what is before him rather than to illusions or fears. This is not mere calmness, it is alertness fused with serenity, a mind trained to meet life exactly as it unfolds. Consider the lessons hidden in the simplest acts. A monk sweeping the floor does so with full attention, aware of every movement, every sound. To the untrained eye, it is mundane, but to the one practicing presence, it is mastery. Here lies a truth often overlooked: the power to endure, to act wisely, and to navigate tragedy begins with being fully here, fully alive, in the moment. Presence is not an escape. It is the sword and shield of the mind, a practice that transforms fear into focus and confusion into understanding. In this way, the chosen learn to stand unmoved, even as the world shifts around them. Chaos often arrives without warning, and with it comes the instinct to react, shout, strike, flee, or crumble. Yet in those fleeting moments, the mind is most vulnerable, and impulsive actions can deepen suffering instead of easing it. The path of mastery, as the Shaolin have long taught, is not in denying emotion, but in training the self to act from awareness rather than instinct. Discipline over reaction is the cornerstone of this practice. In the quiet halls of the monastery, every movement is intentional, every choice deliberate. A monk does not respond to the world as it demands, but as his inner training allows. He breathes first, feels fully, and then moves with precision. Anger is observed, not fueled. Fear is acknowledged, not obeyed. In this space between stimulus and response, freedom arises. Consider the lessons embedded in ritual. When striking a stance, performing a kata, or drawing water from a well, every action is measured, exact, and conscious. The repetition ingrains a subtle control over the body and mind, so that when true crises emerge, reaction is no longer reflex, but considered action. This discipline extends beyond physical training. It shapes thought, perception, and emotion. Tragedy will test the limits of patience and courage. Automatic reactions may feel natural, even necessary, but those who cultivate inner discipline discover a different strength. Their responses are rooted not in panic, but in clarity. They move like water around obstacles, adaptable, purposeful, and steady. In practicing restraint, they turn adversity into a teacher, chaos into a mirror, and instinct into mastery. Through this careful cultivation of self, the ordinary mind transforms. Impulses no longer dictate destiny. The trained spirit can meet calamity with balance, seeing each moment clearly and choosing the path that preserves strength, wisdom, and integrity. Emotions are like fire, capable of warming the spirit or consuming it entirely. In the midst of tragedy, fear, grief, or anger often surge without warning, and the untrained mind can be swept away. The Shaolin masters understood that true strength is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Emotions, when observed and guided, become shields rather than weapons against the self. The practice begins with observation. When fear arises, the monk does not push it away or deny its presence. He sits with it, naming it, feeling its weight, and tracing its origin. In doing so, the storm loses its ability to control him. Anger becomes a signal, not a tyrant. Sadness becomes a teacher, revealing attachments and illusions. By observing without being consumed, the mind cultivates a space where insight can emerge. Breath and focus are essential tools. Each inhale anchors the attention. Each exhale releases tension. Through this rhythm, emotion is transformed from chaotic energy into disciplined force. The Shaolin practice of meditation and mindful movement trains the body to mirror this balance. The heart may race, yet the stance remains grounded. The mind may stir, yet clarity is sustained. Fear, in particular, holds hidden wisdom. When faced directly, it illuminates vulnerability, hidden desires, and the boundaries of perception. The choice lies in whether it will paralyze or instruct. Those who cultivate emotional mastery learn to step into the fear, to study it, and to allow its energy to sharpen rather than weaken them. Through consistent practice, emotional turbulence ceases to dominate. Instead, emotions become guides, subtle allies in the journey of self-mastery. They reveal truth without controlling action, illuminate the path without blinding judgment, and serve as a shield that protects the spirit from the unpredictable storms of life. There is a stillness that speaks louder than action, a quiet presence that sees more than the eyes can perceive. In the Shaolin tradition, this is the way of the silent observer, a practice of witnessing life without attachment, judgment, or haste. In the heart of chaos, the silent observer does not react immediately. Instead, he watches, listens, and senses the subtle currents beneath the surface of events. Crisis often overwhelms because the mind clings to the noise, the drama, and the urgent demands of the moment. By cultivating the silent observer within, one learns to step back from the rush, creating a space between stimulus and response. In that space, clarity arises. Decisions are no longer driven by panic, but by insight. The observer sees patterns, understands consequences, and anticipates outcomes before they fully manifest. This practice is not passive. It is a form of active awareness, honed through meditation, disciplined attention, and mindful reflection. A Shaolin monk walking through a storm does not fight the wind or cry out at the rain. He feels the shifts in pressure, the movement of the clouds, and senses the safest path forward. His calm observation becomes a compass, guiding action with precision and purpose. Beyond external events, the silent observer turns inward. Thoughts, impulses, and emotions are examined as they arise, without judgment. The mind becomes a mirror, reflecting reality rather than reacting to it. In this way, foresight is born, not from guessing or controlling, but from seeing clearly what is, moment by moment. Over time, the practice of silent observation strengthens resilience. Crises lose their power to overwhelm, and sudden challenges become opportunities to exercise wisdom. The mind, disciplined and serene, moves through life like water over stone, aware, adaptable, and unshaken, capable of responding with depth and grace to whatever unfolds. Life unfolds in ways beyond our command, and tragedy often arrives without warning. Mountains collapse, storms rage, and people falter, not because of weakness, but because they attempt to control what is inherently uncontrollable. The Shaolin masters understood a profound truth. Power lies not in altering external events, but in mastering the self. The only domain we truly inhabit is within, our thoughts, our breath, our choices. When disaster strikes, the untrained mind seeks to fix, resist, or escape, creating tension that multiplies suffering. In contrast, the disciplined mind turns inward. Awareness of the internal state becomes a source of strength. Calm is cultivated through simple, deliberate practices, focusing on the breath, feeling each inhale and exhale fully, observing thoughts as passing clouds rather than commands, noticing the body and its sensations without judgment. These exercises anchor attention in the present, preventing the mind from spiraling into fear or despair. Shaolin philosophy teaches that such inner training is cumulative. Daily mindfulness, even in ordinary moments, builds resilience that carries into extraordinary ones. A monk sweeping the temple floor with full presence or walking slowly through the forest noticing every sound is practicing the same skill that will sustain him when chaos erupts. The external world may remain unpredictable, but the mind becomes a fortress, unshaken by the storms outside. This practice does not deny emotion or circumstance. It accepts reality fully while transforming how one engages with it. Through internal mastery, a person discovers clarity, steadiness, and foresight. Stress diminishes because attention is focused where it has effect on awareness, intention, and disciplined action. By relinquishing the illusion of control over the outside, the chosen learn to harness their inner state, turning vulnerability into strength and uncertainty into a training ground for wisdom. Life's storms often arrive without warning, but those who have cultivated mastery meet them not with panic, but with steady resolve. In Shaolin tradition, preparation is not an occasional act. It is a way of living. True mastery is proactive, built through small, consistent practices that shape the mind, heart, and spirit long before crisis appears. The monks rise early, not merely to train the body, but to strengthen awareness. Each morning begins with mindful movement, breath work, and meditation. These rituals, repeated day after day, train the mind to remain calm amidst uncertainty and the body to move with precision when required. Preparation is embedded in every action, no matter how mundane: a sweeping of the floor, a bowl of rice carried with care, a silent walk through the courtyard. Mental preparation is equally vital. The mind is exercised in focus, observation, and reflection. Journaling, contemplation, and studying ancient teachings sharpen insight, teaching the practitioner to anticipate outcomes and perceive patterns others overlook. Emotional preparation comes through observing feelings without surrendering to them, allowing the heart to remain open yet grounded. Spiritual preparation arises in acts of discipline, service, and connection to something greater than oneself, cultivating resilience and humility. The power of this preparation becomes evident when the unexpected strikes. The monk does not scramble, panic, or flail. Instead, habits ingrained through years of practice guide every choice. Calmness flows naturally from preparation, and clarity replaces confusion. In this way, daily life becomes the training ground for crises. Ordinary routines are transformed into tools of inner strength. Those who practice preparation continually sharpen the mind, temper the emotions, and fortify the spirit. When upheaval inevitably comes, they move through it with purpose, balance, and quiet mastery, turning the unpredictable into a canvas for discipline and wisdom. Nothing in life remains unchanged. Mountains erode, rivers shift, and even the strongest trees eventually fall. The Shaolin masters embraced this truth deeply. Life is impermanent, and understanding this is the path to freedom. Attachment, whether to people, possessions, or outcomes, is what creates suffering when change arrives. Those who grasp impermanence meet loss and upheaval with balance rather than despair. In practice, accepting impermanence begins with observation. Watch the seasons change, the sun rise and set, and recognize the same rhythm within yourself. Thoughts, emotions, and experiences appear and vanish like clouds across the sky. By noticing this natural flow, the mind learns to release resistance. Loss is no longer a shock, and fear of change diminishes, replaced by a quiet awareness that life moves in cycles beyond control. Shaolin discipline reinforces this principle in everyday life. Monks are trained to perform each action fully, yet without clinging. A meal is eaten with gratitude, yet they understand it will end. A conversation is shared with presence, yet they do not grasp for permanence. Even in meditation, each breath is acknowledged as passing, each thought as fleeting. Through this practice, detachment is not coldness, but clarity, a recognition that holding too tightly brings pain, while letting go opens space for insight and resilience. When tragedy strikes, this understanding becomes a shelter. The heart, tempered by acceptance, can feel loss without being consumed. Pain is acknowledged, yet it does not dictate action. The mind, trained to see the temporary nature of all things, moves through difficulty with steadiness and grace. By embracing impermanence, the chosen learn to navigate life's unpredictability with wisdom. Attachment loosens, suffering softens, and a deeper serenity emerges, a state of inner freedom where the spirit remains unshaken even as the world transforms around it. Chaos often demands immediate action, yet the instinct to move quickly can be a trap. Acting without wisdom amplifies confusion, and even small mistakes can escalate into greater hardship. The Shaolin masters taught that the mind must first understand before the body moves. Action, when rooted in insight and calm, transforms fear into purpose. In practice, this begins with observation. Before responding, the monk pauses to sense the situation fully, its risks, its possibilities, its patterns. Breath steadies the mind, attention sharpens, and clarity replaces the impulse to react. This is not hesitation. It is measured awareness. In emergencies, a single calm decision often outweighs frantic activity, guiding outcomes toward balance rather than chaos. The discipline of mindful action extends from daily routines. Every gesture, every movement in training is deliberate. A punch is precise, a step intentional, a breath aligned with movement. Over time, these small practices cultivate reflexes that are guided by understanding rather than impulse. When danger arrives, the body moves fluidly, guided by the wisdom embedded in long practice. Fear, when observed, becomes energy for action. Panic loses its grip, replaced by focus. The Shaolin principle is clear. Action without understanding multiplies suffering. Action with insight channels strength. Even the most daunting challenge can be met when each step is rooted in awareness. This approach applies to every level of life. Decisions, words, and movements are most powerful when preceded by reflection. The chosen learn to act from a calm center, transforming uncertainty into opportunity. Fear becomes a compass, chaos becomes a teacher, and every deliberate choice strengthens mastery. In this way, the practiced mind turns emergency into a field for measured, purposeful action, where wisdom guides the hand and steadiness shapes the outcome. Tragedy often arrives like a storm, fierce and unannounced, leaving disruption in its wake. Yet, beneath its harsh exterior lies a hidden gift. The Shaolin masters recognize that every challenge carries a lesson, a spark of growth, and a chance to awaken strength that lies dormant within. Pain, when observed and embraced, becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. Character is refined in the fire of difficulty. Just as iron is tempered through repeated heat and hammering, the spirit is strengthened through trials. A person facing loss, betrayal, or sudden upheaval discovers the depth of patience, resilience, and integrity. Weaknesses are revealed, yes, but so too are the capacities that were previously unnoticed. Each moment of adversity tests resolve. offering the opportunity to act with courage, compassion, and clarity. Discipline deepens through challenge. The monk who rises before dawn trains tirelessly and sits in meditation does so not to escape hardship, but to prepare for it. When crisis strikes, this discipline becomes a shield, guiding decisions, stabilizing emotion, and aligning action with purpose. The difficult moments of life mirror the rigorous practices of the monastery. They demand consistency, attention, and the willingness to endure discomfort for lasting growth. Personal power, often latent, awakens in tragedy. Fear and uncertainty reveal the hidden reservoirs of focus, insight, and courage that only surface when the familiar is stripped away. In that space, one learns to move deliberately, think clearly, and act from a place of inner strength rather than external dependency. By embracing the hidden gift, suffering is transformed into a crucible of mastery. Challenges no longer feel purely destructive. They become catalysts for wisdom, fortitude, and awakening. The storms of life once feared become the terrain on which the spirit grows, and the chosen discover that within every trial lies the seed of their own unshakable power. Mastery is not reserved for moments of crisis. True strength emerges in the quiet, ordinary rhythms of daily life, long before chaos arrives. The Shaolin tradition teaches that small, consistent practices shape the mind and spirit more profoundly than dramatic acts ever could. Each day offers countless opportunities to cultivate awareness, discipline, and resilience, transforming routine into training. Consider the simple acts of living, rising with the sun, observing each breath, moving deliberately, speaking with intention. Meditation, even for a few minutes, strengthens focus and steadies emotion. Reflection on thoughts and actions reveals patterns, allowing growth and correction before mistakes take root. Discipline in daily routines, meals eaten mindfully, tasks performed fully, commitments honored, reinforces the character and fortifies the spirit. These habits, repeated over time, create a foundation that sustains the self when unpredictability strikes. Integration also means carrying awareness into every interaction. How one listens, responds, or observes shapes the quality of each moment. The practice of presence, emotional mastery, and mindful action is not only for emergencies, it is a way of life. By embedding these principles into ordinary tasks, the chosen cultivate a steady inner current that flows through both calm and storm. Even small gestures matter. A mindful step on the path, a deliberate pause before speaking, a moment of gratitude all reinforce mastery in subtle yet profound ways. The mind learns discipline naturally. The heart grows resilient and the spirit becomes anchored in clarity. Over time, daily integration transforms perception. Life itself becomes a dojo, where every challenge, conversation, or routine offers the chance to refine the self. The chosen learn that preparation, presence, and wisdom are not only tools for survival, they are the essence of living fully, gracefully, and powerfully in every moment. Chosen ones, the journey we have explored today reveals a timeless truth. Life may bring tragedy, uncertainty, and upheaval, but mastery begins within. Presence allows you to see clearly. Discipline guides your actions. Emotional mastery transforms fear into insight. Acceptance teaches you to release attachment, and mindful action turns chaos into opportunity. These principles, practiced daily, build a mind and spirit that remain steady, even when the world around you trembles. By living with awareness and integrating these teachings into every moment, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and inner power. Tragedy no longer controls you, it becomes a teacher, a mirror, reflecting your strength, patience, and wisdom. Each day offers the chance to reinforce these habits, to grow quietly but profoundly, and to walk through life with calm certainty. Embrace these lessons, carry them with intention, and let them guide your thoughts, choices, and actions. In doing so, you step fully into the path of the chosen, rising above fear and distraction, anchored in the mastery of self. Thank you for joining this journey. If these teachings resonate, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire, where the path of presence, discipline, and inner awakening continues. May your mind remain calm, your spirit strong, and your heart clear, even amidst life's storms.